past gun 6, and a piece of the shield took his head right off the shoulders. It just rolled down the deck and he was gone.
Of the 13 American ships, 12 are either sunk or damaged. But during the battle, the Japanese also suffer heavy losses.
Here come a Japanese destroyer down our port side, and gun 8 opened fire and put a 5-inch shell right into their depth charges. And we could hear the screaming from the Japanese sailors, and the ship was sizzling when it went under.
The Japanese are forced to retreat. Not one enemy shell lands on Henderson Field. 10:12 a.m. With their screening force in withdrawal, the Japanese are sitting ducks. As they attempt to reinforce Guadalcanal, the transports are caught in the firing line of the Cactus Air Force.
Those things were absolutely loaded with people. I never saw anything like it. As we would come in and get down there around 1,000 feet or so, all we could see is humanity all over the decks. It was sinful to see that many people on there as you were going in to hit them.
This aerial photograph shows the American attack in progress. The fully laden transports are destroyed. Only 2,000 soldiers make it onto the island alive. By the end of November, the Japanese no longer control the waters surrounding Guadalcanal. Supplies to the trapped enemy troops dwindle. The island they once defended has become their graveyard.
Most of the Japanese who went to Guadalcanal died on Guadalcanal. If they didn't die from malaria, they died at the hands of American Marines or starvation. It came down to where some Japanese were forced to try and eat part of their own uniforms to get some nourishment out of that. And so the Japanese have always referred to it as the Isle of Death because so few of them returned from it.
December 7th, 1942. Exactly 1 year after Pearl Harbor, Marine leader General Alexander Vandegrift sends a message to his men. Your unbelievable achievement has made Guadalcanal a synonym for death and disaster in the enemy. The Marines, many of them boys no older than 20, had held the island through courage, sacrifice, and sheer bloody will.
The spirit was everything, and they called it the gung-ho spirit. We learned you can't show any fear, never take a backward step, because it just encourages them. The harder they fight, the harder you lay it on.
The people that won the battle, the war out there, were the ground people. It wasn't we pilots. It was the ground people that won it. They had the dirty job and they did it. And they were, you know, heroes on top of heroes out there.
The Marines' mission is accomplished. They have taken and held Guadalcanal. Army forces are given the task of clearing the remaining Japanese off the island. After 4 months of horrific fighting, the Marines begin to disembark from their island hell.
I was lying on the beach, shaking all over with malaria, just down to skin and bones, and they sent the Higgins boats in to pick us up.
We were pretty beat. Everybody had malaria or dysentery. Many of us still had wounds that were suppurating, and we were in pretty sad physical shape. Really not capable of carrying on much longer.
Over 6 months after D-Day, the complete and total defeat of Japanese forces on Guadalcanal is declared. The campaign had cost the lives of some 7,000 Americans and approximately 30,000 Japanese. It was a victory that would set the tone of combat in the Pacific and send a clear message back to Tokyo.
Churchill made the statement that battles can be very important because they change people's perceptions. And I think that's exactly what happened at Guadalcanal. The Japanese perception of themselves was shocked and altered a little bit. Our perception of our capacity to defeat them was changed. And most important, we had stopped their advance and laid the foundation for starting it in the other direction.
This bitter and bloody battle would turn the tide of the Pacific War. That foundation forged on Guadalcanal would mark the start of a 3-year campaign that would take hundreds and thousands of men, island by island, all the way to Japan's doorstep and victory.
That's exactly what my grandfather spoke of when I was a child. As a child, I remember standing in the living room of his house and hearing things like, "They pulled us through the ground." We stood in line and prayed at Bloody Ridge that all we could do was survive, that the man to your right and the man to your left was the best friend you ever had, and that they would live and die for you. He told me these things, and I remember not believing them because as an American at that time I had a concept that we were invincible, that we could do anything no other nation could, because that's how I was raised, because that's how our teachers taught me, is that as Americans, we were number one. And in fact, we are not number one. In fact, we are just as amazing as those who serve with us. That's why multiple allies were chosen. Not because we need to do Americans for America, because I truly don't believe in that theory when it comes to our freedom. I understand when many people say that as far as, buying American products in America and things like that. I think that all nations, yes, should be self-sufficient. But when it comes to war, we have so much to be thankful for. We have so many amazing allies like Australia, United Kingdom, France, Israel, Canada, so many more. We can do so much better for them and so much better for ourselves, because the battles that people like my grandfather fought are the battles that save this nation and other nations from things like the Axis, things like communism, things that exist today like North Korea. And now we move on with tonight's commercial.
The Magic Vape Shop. Come on in to the most extreme vape shop in the USA. The Magic Man will slam and mix all your vaping needs at prices you can't beat. With all the vape gear at your fingertips, the Magic Man will provide you with all your desires. See us on the web at themagicvapeshop.com. Let's get vaping.
Yo, this is Jeff.
This is Mark. I'm Mike.
I'm Greg.
This is Mick.
We are Kings Hollow, and you're tuned into Dangerous Grounds Network.
Run by Special Ops veterans, putting people in war zones to work, working where others fear to tread. Each one of our products is manufactured in current or post-conflict areas. Your purchases fund women's education, demining efforts, and healing our veterans. High-quality products that make meaningful change for those less fortunate. What America will be for the world moving forward.
This is Sam from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network.
Branded Warriors Inc., the original tattoo therapy program in America. Big Country and his band of warriors will take care of all America's heroes, with one drop of ink at a time. Go to bwitattoos.org to fill out your application and send it to bwitattoos@yahoo.com. Then the power of the ink and BWI will heal your mind.
Black Rose Tattoo Shop. Veteran Rand and Branded Warriors preferred tattoo shop. BlackRoseTattoo.com. All your tattoo needs.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. Hey, you want a freedom boner or what? Listen now. What's up? This is AJ from Madison Rising, and you're listening to Dangerous Grounds Network. And we're going to put a little bit of freedom all up in.
If hope is what you're after, I can take it and turn it into rain. And tears become laughter. I will catch them and turn them back again. Yeah, I will catch them and twist them back again. When you're upside down, then you'll see it all. That you spend all your time pushing on a pull door. You made a plan. You think you're in control. Yeah, you're flying, but you're always too high to fall. And hey man, check around the corner, because it's coming. Here's your wake-up call. And don't you hear me coming? I'm your wake-up call. 'Cause when you're upside down, then you see it all. Everything's the wrong way around, but clearer than before. When you're upside down, then you see it all. That you spend all your time pushing on a pull door. I will shake you, I will make your shattered dreams unwind. 'Cause it's only when it goes to pieces, only then this time increases. You will find the peace that you've been dying for. You realize that all this time you've been pushing on a pull door. You've been pushing on a pull door. Upside down, then you see it all. Everything's the wrong way around, clearer than before. Oh no, when you're upside down, then you see it all. That you spend all your time pushing on a pull door. Yeah, pushing on a pull door. When you're upside down, then you see it all. Everything's the wrong way around, clearer than before. Pushing on a pull door, pushing on a pull door. When you're upside down, then you see it all. Upside down, that you spend all your time pushing on a pull door. Hey, pushing on a pull door. You've been pushing on a pull door.
I'm including tonight a small clip on Bougainville as well, because Bougainville was another battle that my grandfather and the 3rd Marines fought.
By mid-1943, a year and a half after Pearl Harbor, the hacking up of Japan's empire began. We had lopped off all the main Solomon Islands except Bougainville. Our plan for Bougainville was to immobilize the Jap ground forces and to knock out their bomber and fighter bases.